Friends, recently I have seen a movie named Sinners, which is directed by Ryan Coogler. And this film is going to be one of the best films of this year. And not just in horror genre, but overall. And since it is not a film, the photo will be taken only from the trailer. So in today's video, while knowing the story of the film, we will talk a little about its ending and cultural references. In the introduction of the film, we are told that according to legends, there have been some people in our world who used to make such true music that this music could conjure spirits from the past and future. Not only this gift can bring fame and fortune, but it can also bring about the union of living and dead. It also kills the whale in the middle. Best of all, this music can also attract evil. Since ancient times, such people were called by different names, like fire people, etc. Now, after this intro, we see a young man named Sammy, who was badly injured, and he brings a broken guitar to a church. Seeing Sammy in this condition, the people in the church get worried, and the pastor of the church starts praying for him. He asks Sammy to stay away from evil. By the end of the music, Sammy was getting strange nightmares, indicating that something dangerous had happened the previous night. The scene gets cut here, and we are shown the scene of the previous day. By the way, let me tell you that this story is from the 15th to the 16th of October, 1932. Well, a day before, we see Sammy who, after finishing his work, picks up his guitar in the church. Now, the pastor of their community church, whom we have also seen in the previous scene, is the same Sammy's father was also not happy with Sammy's hobby of music. In fact, he considered music to be a symbol of evil power. But Sammy was not only fond of music, but he also had an exceptional talent in the blues music genre. Now, for those who don't know about blues music, I would like to tell them in short that blues is a soulful and emotional music genre that was developed by African American communities in the 19th century, and specifically, it happened in the southern U.S. It usually uses slow tempo, deep lyrics, and extraordinary guitar or harmony, which reflects the pain, struggle, and emotions of real life. According to many people, blues is also considered to be the foundation of modern genres like rock, jazz, and R&B. Anyway, from here, the scene shifts and focuses on twin brothers named Smoke and Stuck. Both these brothers are World War I veterans and have recently returned to their village, Mississippi. Before this, they were in Chicago, where they were part of gangs, etc. And from there, they started their career in the music genre. They have earned a lot of money, and with this money, both the brothers want to open a jack joint in their village. Jack joint means an informal place where there will be music, dance, drinks, and gambling, and it will be mostly for the African American community so that they can spend a good time after a day's work. So, Smoke and Stuck buy a place from a white man named Hogwood to open a jack joint. And we can see that Hogwood was racist. I mean, he was repeatedly spitting on these brothers and was surprised to see so much money with them. If seen, the twins had so much money, yet Hogwood was not respecting them. Well, now after buying the place, both the brothers go out to hire talents, meaning if they are opening a jack joint, then some people who can play songs will also be needed, right? So yes, first of all, they recruit Sammy to sing and play guitar. We also understand that Sammy is their cousin. After this, Stuck and Sammy go away from Smoke, where both of them, together, they hire a man named Delta Slim, who could play harmonica or piano very well. Sammy also interacts with a singer named Yahan, and it was clear that Parleen and Sammy liked each other. Now here, Stack also meets his ex-girlfriend Mary, who was very upset with Stack because she had waited for Stack for so many days, but after Stack left her, they never connected. From this, we also understand that Mary's mother had died a day before, and Mary's mother probably raised Stack and Smoke for a few days in their childhood. By the way, Mary is kind of white. I am saying kind of because her parents were half black and now she has become a part of the community of kind of white people. Now here I am giving emphasis on color because in the film also a lot of focus has been given on this thing so that the racism of the time of 1930 can be shown clearly. Anyway, there is a story about Stack, Sammy, and Delta Slim. He goes to Cotton Field where he recruits his and Smoke's old friend Cornbread to become the doorman of the Jack Joint, i.e. for security. In a club, there will be a bouncer too, so security is required here too so that no one comes inside. On the other hand, Smoke goes to town and hires local Chinese shopkeepers Grace and Bo so that both of them can do the catering work at Jack Joint. Taking care of the situation means serving food and drinks to the customers, creating an atmosphere for gambling, etc. After this, Smoke goes to meet his wife Annie, and we understand that even though Smoke and Annie are still married, they have become quite distant from each other. Mostly they used to fight over occult rituals. In fact, they are still fighting. Annie not only believed in occult rituals, but she also practiced it, while Smoke said that he has roamed the whole world during the war, and he has not seen a single ghost till date. On this, Annie says that she was doing some rituals so that these twins always remain safe. But Smoke angrily reminds her that if you know so many rituals, etc., then why our younger daughter could not be saved. This means that friends, they also had a daughter who died soon after being born. Here we see that Smoke still used to wear the talisman given by Annie. In fact, after arguing, both of them also got intimate. Now from here, the story focuses on a man named Remick, who takes shelter in the house of a couple named Bert and John in a very injured condition. After some time, some vampire hunters come here looking for Remick, and Joanne lies to them that no one has come to her house. Now, as soon as the sun sets, these vampire hunters leave, but Remick, who was an Irish immigrant vampire, had made him a vampire too by drinking Bird's blood. Yes, friends, seeing this, Joanne screams, and the scene cuts, depicting that these people will attack Joanne too, and in turn Joanne too would have become a vampire. Coming back to Stack and Smoke, their hiding worked really well because finally their Jack Joint was functional, and today was their opening night. We can see that even though Stack and Smoke are queens, but their personality was completely different. Like Smoke was very serious and business-minded, whereas Stack was a fun-loving person who was a little kind-hearted. Smoke was also there at the Jack Joint. It was very strict that everyone has to pay the entry fee, and we cannot make any exception to this, nor can we reduce it. But Stuck and Annie explained to Smoke that the people of their community work all day and come here to enjoy, so even if they have less money, they should be given entry. Well, here in the Jack Joint, apart from the owner, Stuck and Smoke, there were Sammy and Delta Slim who were performing. Then Annie Marie and Parlene had also come, while Grace and Bo were also watching the food, drinks, and gambling scene. And who was on security? Of course, our Cornbread. Now, these people were working here, but apart from them, many customers had come here who were dancing, singing, eating, and drinking, enjoying in short, and overall we can say that this Jack Joint had become a huge success on the first day itself. So after some time, Sammy starts performing Blues John here, and his song was so true, and we can also see the spirits of the present, yes, just like we were told in the intro of the movie. Now this performance was so strong that even Remick gets attracted to it, and now, along with Remick, Bert, and Join, were also there as vampires. That is, what was said in the intro, that such music also attracts evil. That was 100% right. Then what happened? Ramik comes outside with Bert and Join, and he asks for permission to come inside. Ramik said that he is just attracted by Sammy's music and will come inside and spend money. enjoy and sing songs with his friends, but Smoke and Stoke do not allow him to come inside because mostly he was white and he was also behaving a little suspicious. In such a situation, Remick leaves from this point, but he goes a little far and starts singing songs with Bert and Joyne. Now, after this, some things happen inside the joint, such as Perlin and Sammy get intimate, then Mary argues a little with Stack, then there is some commotion between Smoke and Sammy and so on and so forth. After all this, when Mary goes out of the joint alone, she sees Remick, Bert, and Joint there. These people show gold coins to Mary, saying that they can give this to get entry in the joint, but during the conversation, Remick's saliva starts dripping, indicating that he wants to drink Mary's blood. Mary also senses that something is wrong, but before she can run away, Remick attacks Mary. So yes, now Mary has also become a vampire, and in the next scene she comes inside the bar after taking permission from Cornbread, then seduces Stack. Now as soon as Stack and Mary get intimate, Mary bites him, due to which Stack dies. Then Smoke comes here and seeing all this, he shoots Mary several times, but Mary runs away from here, laughing. It is as if the bullets had no effect on him. Now Smoke was very emotional after seeing the stock gone, and he asks the others to send everyone out of the jack joint. Annie immediately explains that this is mostly vampirism. That is why nothing happened to Mary even after the bullet. Smoke did not want to believe Annie, but he could not deny what he had seen with his own eyes. In the middle of all this, his security guy goes to drink cornbread, and Remick attacks him there. You cannot enter the house without permission, and because Cornbread is asking for permission, it means he has been converted. Cornbread immediately changes the topic and says that he at least needs money for today's work, and as soon as Smoke extends his hand to give the money, Cornbread tries to bite his hand, but Smoke escapes and attacks Cornbread. So yes, till this point it was not possible to trust anyone, because no one knows who all have become vampires, while Cornbread was dancing even after getting shot. Meanwhile, Steak, who was dead, gets up again as a vampire. But before he attacks anyone, Annie throws pickled garlic juice on him, due to which he burns strangely and runs away. Now, Annie explains to the rest of the survivors that vampires can be killed only with silver or wooden stake, and they can also be repelled with garlic. In fact, no vampire can enter any building without an invitation. Here Annie also gives a talisman to Smoke so that he can kill the vampires, so that she can protect herself, and she also asks the people present inside the flood to eat garlic pickle so that it can be proved that the people inside are all humans. Now, friends, many people had come inside the jug joint in the flood. The customers were dancing. They were sent out. Well, the vampires had attacked all of them, and they all were dancing and singing after turning into vampires. With Remick, in fact, when Grace's husband Beau also went out to bring the car, the vampires drank his blood and made him a vampire. So we can say that now only a few people were left who were humans, and these were Smoke, Annie, Sammy, Delta, Slim, Perlin, Grace. In fact, all the humans who were left were still inside the jug joint, while all the vampires were waiting for them outside the joint. Smoke and team's plan was that these people will spend the night here and before morning. Such vampires will have to run away because those people mostly cannot survive in sunlight. Then Remick comes to talk to them, and he tells them. He starts convincing how these people should also become vampires. Remick clearly says that vampirism is the right way for them, because there is no discrimination of any kind here. They will get immortality and freedom, and there is no racism of any kind here. Remick also reveals that John Burt was actually a member of the local clan of Hogwood, and his plan was to come in the morning and finish Smoke and Steak, and snatch money from them. This shows how racism is rampant, and Smoke and Steak were about to be attacked anyway because they were black and had somehow made money. In fact, we viewers understand another thing here, that the vampire who turns another into a vampire can access their memory. Like Remick was able to see the memory of John and Bird. Only then he came to know about this. So, Remick's basic point was that anyway, Smoke and Steak are going to be finished tomorrow morning, and society will never respect them, no matter how much money they earn. Well, it would be better to adopt vampirism. By the way, Stuck had already become a vampire, and he is very happy with Mary, who is herself a vampire, but Remick wanted to convert Smoke and all the people who are left with him into vampires. Now this offer was tempting, but Smoke and the others do not accept it. And in such a situation, Remick says that he only wants Sammy, after which he will leave them. Actually, there was magic in Sammy's song, which could shake even the old and new spirits, and Remick was very impressed with this. So yes, he wanted Sammy, but of course these people do not hand over Sammy, which indicates that now a full-on war was about to happen. Here Grace was very angry about Beau's death, and salt is rubbed on the wound when Remick says that he will attack Grace's daughter, who is currently at Grace's house. Hearing this, Grace loses her temper and challenges the vampires. Now the challenge is met. Vampires can come inside because this is a kind of invitation, and then a full-blown war really starts here. In this melee, Annie, Grace, and Delta Slim, all three are killed. In fact, Delta Slim sacrifices himself to save Smoke and Pearline. No Marie, who is already a vampire, is devastated by Annie's death and runs away in shock. This was very sad, because Steak had bitten Annie, due to which she also becomes a vampire. In such a situation, Smoke had to insert a wooden stake inside Annie with his own hands, which was very emotional. After this, Sammy and Pearline try to escape from there, but Remick and Steak surround them on the way. Smoke also comes there, and then a brutal fight takes place between Smoke and Steak. Sammy and Pearline face Remick. In the fight, Pearline is bitten by a vampire, and before dying, she pleads Sammy to save his life and run away. Sammy also runs away in the car. He tries to run away, but Remick blocks his way. Here, all the vampires were standing with Remick, and Sammy was about to die, but at the last moment, Sammy picks up his guitar and breaks it on Remick's head. And mostly, there was a silver plate in Sammy's guitar, which gets stuck in Remick's head. Remick doesn't die due to this, but he feels a lot of pain. In fact, we see other converted vampires also writhing in pain. Now, before Remick could retaliate, Smoke arrives there and finally kills Remick with a wooden stake. A few seconds after this, the sun starts rising, and all the vampires are burnt to death. If you remember, Smoke had fought with his brother Stack, and Stack was a vampire, and in that fight, Smoke was about to kill Stack almost, but we are not shown whether Stack is really killed. So yes, if you have a question in your mind that what happened to Stack, then, well, you will get clarity on this in a short while. Anyway, Smoke here tells Sammy to run away quickly, because Hawkwood and his clan were about to come here as soon as it was morning. Sammy runs away, and just after a while, Hawkwood and the clan come here. Smoke fights with them alone, with guns, etc. In fact, he kills everyone. In this fight, he himself gets badly injured, and in his last breaths, he sees a lovely vision of Annie and her daughter. And in the end, he dies due to his injuries. Sammy, who is tired, dies. He is done and drowned in sorrow. He returns to his father's church. Now, friends, this is the same first scene of the movie, which I had initially narrated to you. Sammy's father, who is a pastor, asks him to leave music and choose salvation, but Sammy refuses and picks up his guitar and leaves the church. That means only the handle of the guitar was left. The movie ends here. Now, friends, there is a mid-credit scene in the movie and a post-credit scene. The mid-credit scene is very important, which I will tell you right now, but the post-credit scene is nothing special. I will tell you about that too here. So the mid-credit scene is of 60 years later, i.e., of 1992, when we are shown the scene of Chicago. Here we see old Sammy, who has now become a famous blues musician. Now, Stack and Mary come here to meet him. Yes, friends, Stack reveals that Smoke had spared his life that night at the Jack joint, but Smoke had put a condition here that Stack would always give Sammy a gift. He will let Sammy live a peaceful life, so Stack kept his promise, and he never harmed Sammy. Now, Stack and Mary offer immortality to Sammy, that is, the offer to make him a vampire because Sammy was not going to live much longer because of his old age. In fact, we see Stack and Mary, who even after 60 years look similar to what they looked like in 1932. Very young, Aldo. His fashion sense has now become that of the 90s. There, Sammy is offered immortality, but Sammy politely declines it. Before leaving, Stack asks him to sing a song, and Sammy picks up his guitar and starts playing it. When Stack and Mary start going back, Sammy tells them that even today, the nightmen of that night do not leave him alone. But he also remembers that the day before that night was the best day of his life. Stock also agrees and says that it was his best day too, because it was the last day. When he saw his brother for the last time, then that was the last day when Stock was able to feel the sunlight. And that was the last day when Stock had real freedom. This is where the mid-credit scene ends, and in the post-credit we see young Sammy playing the guitar. And this day was mostly a day before that night. That is, I am talking about that horrifying night. The 1932 movie ends here.